What's up, Henry? So when was the last time you saw her?
She was in the house.
She was in the bed?
Yeah.
When you went to bed last night?
I'ma still look.
Because you was watching her, Henry.
I did a little look around. I didn't see Bria.
In the quiet town of Davenport, Iowa, a dark mystery unfolded on a fateful summer night.
The Iowa State Patrol issued the Amber Alert for 10-year-old Breasia Terrell early this morning.
A missing child, a suspicious stepfather,
Henry, you don't know where your daughter is, you don't know your address, and you don't know your phone number.
For real.
and a desperate search for the truth.
I can't go to sleep with that. Like, what the? It's 9:30 and she's nowhere.
This is the story of Breasia Terrell,
I know she played basketball.
Yes, very fair.
where every clue peels back another layer of a chilling crime.
States Exhibit 822, which is being shown here.
Items in the closet.
Hey, true crime fans, welcome back. Today we delve into the haunting disappearance and tragic murder of 10-year-old Breasia Terrell.
Once you picked up that skull, what did you determine?
That it was real.
Buckle up, because this story is filled with shocking twists and turns that you won't believe.
Man jumped out in the road in front of me and waved his arms.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you never miss an update from our channel.
Not one of those videos can identify Breasia Terrell in that Impala. That is correct.
Now, let's uncover the dark secrets behind this heartbreaking case. Breasia Terrell came into the world on December 4th, 2009, in Davenport, Iowa. Right from the start, her mom, Aisha, knew she was something special.
And I mean, she's so playful. She's helpful. She's a big sister.
Breasia was loving, creative, fun, and carefree, always eager to help out.
She likes to draw. She loves to sing. She loves Moana.
Aisha and Breasia's dad didn't stay together, but a few years later, Aisha started seeing a guy named Henry Dinkins.
We were together for about two and a half, 3 years, you know.
Before long, they found out they were having a baby boy.
And we also have an 8-year-old boy together.
Because of the boy's age, we will be using his initials DL for the story. Breasia adored DL and loved helping her parents with him. Even though Breasia and DL were half-siblings, Henry was like a dad to Breasia at first. He was there for her, helping to raise her, but eventually, things between him and Aisha fell apart.
I raised Breasia,
Since how old was she?
my baby.
Okay.
After they split, Henry didn't come around much anymore. It was tough for DL and Breasia not to have that father figure.
How long were you and Aisha together for?
Like 2 years.
But Aisha had a big family who always stepped in to help, giving Breasia lots of love and support, which helped her grow up with a good head on her shoulders.
Your daughter, I know she played basketball.
Yes, very fair.
In 2020, Breasia was 10. Her family said she had the cutest personality, tons of friends, and loved to express herself.
She's my shadow. She's amazing. She's a child anybody would want.
But she was also a real rule follower. She not only followed the rules, but made sure others did too.
But I mean, a strong girl and definitely a fighter. She's not going nowhere without a fight at all.
In June 2020, while the world was in chaos from COVID-19, Aisha noticed her ex-boyfriend Henry Dinkins started coming around more. Henry now had a new girlfriend, Andrea Culbertson. Andrea was way different from Henry.
How would you describe your personality?
Quiet,
Mr. Dinkins' personality?
very outspoken.
That summer, Henry began hosting neighborhood cookouts, bringing everyone together for some good food and fun, even in the midst of the pandemic.
But we stayed close friends.
But you guys stayed close. So how long? So you guys
We've been friends. We've been friends all the way up to now.
Okay. And how long ago did you guys break up? Break it off.
It's like 6 years ago.
For the past few years, Henry hadn't been very involved in his son DL's life, so these cookouts were a chance for them to reconnect. Breasia would also come along, spending time with Henry. On July 8, 2020, Aisha and DL were driving in Davenport when they saw Henry pull into a quick shop. DL, excited, pointed out his dad and told Aisha he wished he could see him more. So Aisha pulled over to let DL talk to his dad. Aisha had a conversation with Henry about being more involved, and Henry agreed. He even offered to have DL stay with him over the weekend.
I had seen them, and they said they wanted to come and spend time with me.
The next morning, July 9th, Henry arrived around 11 a.m. to pick up DL. But DL, not wanting to leave his sister Breasia behind, asked Henry if she could come too. Henry agreed, and Aisha, knowing Henry had been part of Breasia's life from ages 2 to 5, and considering him family, allowed her to go. Aisha had another son who was 13 years old. He also asked if he could stay with Henry that weekend, but Henry said no to him and yes to Breasia. Henry's reason for not letting the 13-year-old come along was that he didn't have enough space in his car.
And actually, the 13-year-old boy, CS, expressed an interest in being able to go along as well. Henry Dinkins indicated that Breasia was welcome to come along, but he indicated that the 13-year-old boy, CS, could not come along, and the reason that he offered up for that was there was not enough room in his car for the 3 children. The day that he picked Detorius up and Breasia came along, he was operating a black Camaro, and that black Camaro had seating both for front seat passengers and back seat passengers.
There was plenty of room. Henry just didn't want the 13-year-old to come. So Breasia and DL got into the car with Henry and took off. After leaving home, Henry took the kids to his friend's house, a guy named Vincent Howard.
They went over. There was time spent there at the Howard residence. Both of the children spent the afternoon playing video games. Mr. Dinkins left the residence for a period of time, came back.
Henry left the house for a bit while DL and Breasia played video games. Eventually, he came back, and then they left to go home.
To my cousin's house. We went down to my cousin's house, and they played with my little cousins.
Henry did have a place of his own at an RV park in town, but he mostly stayed with his girlfriend in her one-bedroom apartment. That evening, Henry and the kids arrived at his girlfriend's apartment complex, jumped out of the car, and headed into Unit 8. Inside, Andrea was still working on her computer. She worked remotely for AT&T.
Andrea Culberson, Mr. Dinkins' girlfriend, she works for AT&T, and she actually works out of her home. She was working till sometime around 7:30 that evening. While she was working, Breasia was very, very interested in the type of work that she was doing, and Ms. Culberson was showing her how she performed her responsibilities for AT&T.
Meanwhile, DL was in the living room playing video games.
We went to the house. They started playing the games at the house, and then they took their showers, and then they got into bed. You know, me and Andrea laid down.
Later, Aisha got off work and realized that Breasia didn't have clothes for the weekend. She rushed home, packed a bag for Breasia, and drove it over to the apartment. When she arrived, she called Henry to let him know she was there.
A complex that she was familiar with. She'd never been to the Culberson apartment before. At any rate, when she responded to the complex, she called to notify the parties that she was out in the parking lot, and Breasia came down to gather the clothing. Mom had the family pet with them, the dog. Breasia was really excited about it. In fact, Breasia wanted to take the dog with her up to the apartment. Mom had to call her back and say, no, the family pet's going home. But at any rate, you know, it was one of those of give the clothes, love you, have a wonderful time. And then Aisha left with Breasia going back inside the apartment complex, or I should say apartment number 8, with the clothing.
It was raining pretty hard, so their interaction was quick. Aisha watched as her daughter ran back to apartment 8, not knowing this would be the last time she would ever see Breasia alive. Later that night, Aisha went home and took a bath. It had been a long day, and this was the first night in a while she didn't have her children.
She got back to the apartment, was very tired, having worked all day, took a bath, and very simply, she fell asleep on the couch, and she was out for the evening. At some point, unbeknownst to her, the children, DL and Breasia, Breasia, neither of which had cell phones, Culberson apartment. She had received a telephone call from Henry Dinkins' phone that was unanswered. And then the caller became very apparent because then there was a text message that came through from Breasia saying, "Good night, Mommy, I love you." All right. So that was somewhere around 10, 11 o'clock in the evening.
The next morning, completely unaware that her life was just minutes away from being turned upside down, Aisha got a text from Henry saying, "I just woke up and Breasia is gone." Aisha immediately started calling him over and over, trying to understand what was going on, but he wouldn't answer. When he finally did, he said that they all went to sleep, and by the time they woke up, Breasia was gone.
When she called me and she said, "Mom, Breasia missing," I'm like, "What you mean Breasia missing?" She said, "Henry said Breasia missing."
Henry was at a loss for words. Aisha was hysterical.
What was he communicating to you about his location and what he was doing?
He wasn't necessarily communicating anything. He said that he was out looking for her and he was going to make a police report.
Okay. When you spoke with Mr. Dinkins, did it become clear to you that he had not yet reported Breasia as missing?
Yes.
But he said he was in the car with DL on the way to the police station. Aisha hung up and called the police herself.
Okay. I want to pick up at the point in time where you described sitting in the back room and you were crying.
Yes.
There at Checkers. What did your manager encourage you to do?
He encouraged me to get into the car and go downtown and figure out what was going on.
By going downtown, what do you mean?
Like going down to the police department.
Did you actually leave Checkers to travel down to the Davenport Police Department?
I did.
All right.
But on her way, she noticed Henry's car speeding through traffic in the opposite direction of the police station.
I noticed Mr. Dinkins' Impala flying down the opposite way, making a really hard turn on, I think it's a left turn on Eastern.
Okay.
Aisha made a U-turn, pulled up behind him, and started laying on her horn.
I was speeding behind him, honking the horn. I was calling his phone, and when I finally got him on the phone, he said that he was headed to Jersey Meadows because they wanted to talk to him out there. And I was still on his bumper, honking the horn, and we had pulled over by the McDonald's on.
Henry started rambling about how he didn't know his home address and needed to turn back to get it. None of it made any sense. Aisha also noticed Henry's shoes were covered in mud. She and Henry got back into their cars, and Aisha followed him to the apartment. They also communicated with the Davenport PD, and an officer was sent out to meet them.
And Henry lives here?
Yeah, I guess so. This is where he told me to come.
Okay.
He don't even know how long she's even been gone.
An officer arrived outside the apartment at 8:55 a.m. After collecting information about Breasia, Henry approaches the police officer with his son DL by his side.
What's up, Henry? So when was the last time you saw her?
She was in the house.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw her?
9:30.
Last night?
9:30.
Okay. Okay.
With him.
Okay. When was the last time you saw her?
She was in the bed when I woke up this morning.
She was in the bed?
Yeah.
When you went to bed last night? Okay.
This is crazy, man. This is like, you know what I'm saying? I know she going fucking hysterical, big brother.
Yeah. DIN.
KINS.
But then Henry can't recall his address. He also doesn't know his own phone number, and he has also lost his daughter.
Is this your home address?
No.
What's your address?
It's down by Ralston Carina.
I
just know down.
You don't know your address?
I don't know the full address.
Do you know your phone number?
Hell no, I don't even know that either. I swear to God, I don't.
Henry, you don't know where your daughter is, you don't know your address, and you don't know your phone number.
No, for real. I'm finna
So,
give it to you now. You think I'll be lying, but...
Well, no, it's just... It's kind of...
Because I don't call myself.
I know, but you gotta know your number. You gotta know your address.
I don't...
So this is your girlfriend's address here?
Just a good friend.
Okay.
When it comes to any specifics, he can't recall anything for certain.
What was she last wearing?
In the bed?
What you have on, some shorts?
What color?
I don't remember. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't
What's her height and weight, you think?
She's a little taller than he is.
She's this tall.
Okay.
She's a little taller than that. She's probably about like this here.
Okay. What's her hair look like?
She has dreads. Long.
Dreads.
Long.
Long and dreads hair?
Yep.
Like shoulder length or
Down.
middle of the back?
Down here.
Okay. Mid back, dreads. Right? Is that how we would label that?
Yes.
She had shorts on.
Did she still have a white shirt on?
She had she had the shirt that you gave her.
The white shirt.
All white?
All white t-shirt, yep.
After gathering the information, the officer asks Henry where he's looked for Breasia. Henry replies that he hasn't asked any of the neighbors because he doesn't know them, but he does drive around searching for her.
I'm going to ask you who have you called? What doors have you knocked on?
I don't know these people out here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I called her.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And she told me she was at work. At first, I was riding around looking. Yeah. And then me and my son started riding around looking.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then,
so how long ago has it been? An hour?
It's been a couple hours.
Couple hours?
Couple hours.
Okay.
The officer then turns to Aisha.
Have we called family?
I've called everybody. I have my uncle out riding around. My mom's on her way out here. My friend's on their way out here.
We've been every fucking where.
And she's gonna be with a friend inside some apartment.
That's
most
why
likely.
I said I'm gonna still look.
Okay.
We don't know anybody out here though. That's the thing. Okay. She would have never. She would have never. First of all, she would have never woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she would have never.
What you mean? 8 o'clock in the morning.
I'm just saying.
That ain't what I said. I never said.
I know you
guys,
didn't say that.
This isn't the time to fight.
Exactly. I don't give a about you walking, nigga. You lost her though.
How did I fucking lose?
Because you was watching her, Henry. What the do you mean?
But
Aisha then decides to walk away, leaving the officer flabbergasted as to how to help them.
Hey.
I'm going, sir. Come on, D.
Listen to me. Well, you guys gotta come together right now. This isn't a time to fight about it. Okay? So, well, hey, if you... how am I supposed to... What do you want me to do?
I got everything, bro. I got nothing. You see how she stepped on me? You know what I'm saying?
I got no picture. I got no... What do you want me to do?
What am I supposed to do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it. Henry,
I
get it.
All I can do is look.
I get it, Henry.
Naturally, Aisha was angry, so she decides to go home to help her family with the search. Once Aisha leaves, the officer goes up to the apartment to make sure Breasia isn't just hiding somewhere. It's also at this point that he speaks to Henry's girlfriend, Andrea, who hasn't even left the apartment.
Hi there. Are you Andrea?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea. What's your date of birth, Andrea? So, tell me about, when was the last time you saw her?
She was here.
When?
What time was I? Probably sleeping around 11 midnight. She was here. She was in bed sleeping.
Okay. And you guys never heard her come down, walk out? There's no forced entry or anything like that?
No forced entry,
okay. Do you mind if I just come in and take a quick look? I'm not concerned about anything else. I just want to come in because probably 50% of the time we still find them inside the place when this happens. And
well, I kind of do my face kind of wreck right now.
What's that?
My face is kind of in a wreck.
Listen, I go in all sorts of places. I don't care how big.
Is he aware of this?
What's that?
Is he aware of this?
Yeah. What's her name again?
Bria.
Was there any fights or arguments or anything last night? Bria is her name? Where was she sleeping at? Your bed? So where were you guys sleeping at last night? You guys slept out here? Can you look in the closet again?
That's all clothes.
I know, I'm just telling you, you'd be surprised what we've...
I know, right?
So she was sleeping in the bed with her brother? And you guys slept out here?
Breasia was nowhere in the apartment. The officer asks her to come out and help them look.
Okay, are you going to come out and help look or not?
By the time the officer finishes looking through the apartment and walks back outside, Henry Dinkins is gone. He just left without telling anyone where he was going.
But I was right there with the officer when he called.
Yeah, but then you left.
Because she left and I was mad, Aisha. Oh. And it made me mad because she was, basically blaming it all on me.
Before we arrived at the station for the interview, he went to his mom and sister's apartment. Now, if you notice, he is wearing the same clothes, but different shoes. While Henry was being interviewed by the police, other officers were canvassing the area around the apartment. As the hours passed, their hope of finding Breasia was dwindling. After speaking with her family, it was clear she didn't run away on her own.
With respects to running off, I was told by Aisha Langford, the mother of Breasia, that she does not run off. She would not leave an area unfamiliar. It wasn't something that she did even when she was at home in familiar territory. It was not something that she had ever done.
The officers also checked security cameras from nearby businesses to see if Breasia could be seen walking around. But instead of finding Breasia, they saw Henry's maroon Chevy Impala driving all over town in the early morning hours of July 10th, 2020. When Henry showed up at the police station, one of the first things the detectives wanted to know was where the Impala was located.
But is her car parked out front?
No.
No. Where's her Impala at?
Her Impala's with my homie right now, so.
After that, the detective asks Henry about his son and what kind of relationship he has with Breasia.
His mother is Aisha Langford.
Aisha Langford.
Okay. And then do you have any other biological?
No, I raised Breasia.
Since how old is she?
My baby.
Okay. And so you raised her with Aisha?
Yes.
How long were you and Aisha together for?
Like 2 years. But we stayed close friends.
Eventually, the detective got Henry to walk him through what happened that night. Henry admitted that the kids went to bed, and he did leave the apartment in the middle of the night to go see his friend. But his friend wasn't home, so he says he came back, and that's when he noticed Breasia was missing.
And then when I left, I think I went down to Lil Ben's house, but nobody was there. And when I came back, I did a little look around. I didn't see Bria. No, that wasn't that time. I don't remember. No, that's a lie. That's a bald-faced lie. It wasn't even at that time. What time was it? I don't ever look at the time, so I'm really confused with the time. But I know when I went and looked for Bria, so I only seen Lil Dink in the bed.
Okay.
And I left. So I went moving around and I
left the apartment?
The apartment, yeah, and went out and about, where she was living. And out there in I don't know the apartment buildings out there. I don't know.
When he came back, Andrea was awake.
When I realized it, like I said, I went looking around. Then when I came back, Andrea was up.
Henry admitted that he went out again to buy cigarettes from the quick shop, and when he got back, his son DL was awake. He said they spent the rest of the morning searching for Breasia until he finally decided to call Aisha.
When I texted his mom, she was at work, and she was like, I'm like, hey, Bria's missing. She's like, well, you stop playing with me. You know what I'm saying? Stop playing with me, Henry. So I'm like, man, no, I'm not playing. I'm for real. And she was like, stop playing with me. I said, look, man, I'm not playing. So I gave Dink the phone. Dink told her, like, Mom, you know, we don't know where she at. So then he handed me the phone back, and I'm like, I got to talk to him, like, man, your mom mad at me. He said, Dad, I don't understand why mom mad at you. You know, you haven't done nothing. And I'm like, I mean, but I'm still responsible. You know what I'm saying?
Aisha couldn't believe that Breasia was missing. She thought he was kidding at first, but when reality set in, she got really mad.
Me and her met up, and she was like...
You and Aisha met up?
Yeah,
Where
at Burger King.
Okay.
And Aisha was like really upset, and I said, you know what I'm saying, I understand how you coming. I feel what you're saying right now, but you know, you stressing out right now. It's not going to help us out right now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We have to figure this shit out. You know. So I was like, well, you're responsible. You're responsible. You know, and it made me feel so fucking bad because you know I am responsible. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I just, like I said, I was like lost. Didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say to her. I was lost for words. I couldn't even talk to her really.
Aisha then decides to call 911, and that's when the officer arrived at Andrea's apartment.
I'm gonna call somebody to come out there to Andrea's apartment. I said, okay. You know what I'm saying? So we went out there. When the dude approached, you know what I'm saying?
The dude as in?
The officer.
Okay. So did you call 911?
No, she did. I told her I was going to go to the police station at first. She said, no, let's go to the apartment. You know what I'm saying? So I said, well, we can call at the apartment. You know what I'm saying? And Aisha was like, because first I'm thinking like, she ain't really missing. You know what I mean? Something, you know what I'm saying? Maybe something, I don't know. But once it really set in that can't nobody find her, that's when it hit me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, she's missing.
What the officer wanted to know was when exactly Henry realized that Breasia was missing. But again, Henry was unable to tell the exact time.
A quick shop with the cigarettes, and then what happened after that?
Nothing.
No, well, okay. So but then you got back.
Then like I said, I got back. Oh man, I don't know what time it was, sir.
Okay, that's fine. We can move past that.
All I know is,
at one point or another, you noticed that Bria is not in the room. Okay. And so, what do you do immediately after you notice Bria's not?
I go outside.
Go outside. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing I did. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, I went outside.
Okay. And then, like, just around the area, or did you get in a car and drive somewhere?
I went around the area first.
Okay.
And then I started moving around, like, trying to get close within the areas. You know what I mean? Trying to look to see if she was walking, you know what I'm saying, or whatever.
And for the sake of, I'm not looking to hand me off on a driving charge. If you went and drove and tried to find her in certain places,
I went in the area where, out there, you know what I'm saying, like, trying to see
around the apartment complex.
No, like outside. You know what I'm saying? Like when I pulled in, I would have seen
like those businesses and stuff like that.
No, like the streets.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm
the
saying?
Nearby streets.
I don't know what streets. I mean, I don't. Like the streets that would go back, the streets that would go forward. You know what I'm saying? It was like by Blockbusters.
As you can see, Henry is struggling to recall exactly what he did that morning, which is always suspicious. He also tells the detective that after searching for Breasia and speaking with the police officer, he drove the Impala to his mom's house.
Is your car not here? You know what I mean?
I came straight here.
I get that, but the car that you were driving was the Impala, and the Impala's not here.
I didn't say I was driving the Impala.
Well, you came in the Impala.
I never said I was driving the Impala.
So you left the apartments in the Impala, right?
Yes.
Okay. So at what point did you not have the Impala anymore?
What do that got to do with the Impala? I mean,
because you left there in a vehicle, and that's.
I mean, I'm not trying to make it harder on you.
Yeah, I get it.
But I mean, literally, as for the situation with the driving aspect, you know,
I'm not looking for the driving. I'm looking for the car.
I'm keeping that solo with the.
No, that's fine. I'm more concerned about the car.
I mean, if you want to check the car, you can check the car.
Yeah, we would like to do that.
Yes,
probably.
you can, without a problem.
Where is the car currently?
It's reachable.
Reachable as in?
I can get it to you guys at any time. That's basically what I'm saying.
And also to backtrack.
I mean, one thing about me, I mean, like I said, if I had any issues, I would have never came down. You know what I mean?
Interestingly enough, Henry claimed that his friend dropped him off at the police station in the Impala and that they were out somewhere driving it around town. Shortly after this interview, officers found the Impala parked about a block away from the police station. So clearly, Henry drove there himself and then walked over to the police station to avoid them searching it. Back to the interview, the next thing the detective wanted to know was who Henry called and texted that morning.
And so, was there any texts going around like about the situation, or was it just the phone calls?
I think there was like 1 or 2 texts.
1 or 2 texts?
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And so would you be fine if we downloaded the phone to have the call logs and the texts?
For what reason?
To corroborate everything here about the call logs and the text. It helps everyone out.
Download my phone.
To get the call logs to show that those calls were made at those certain times.
I can show you my phone. I can just show you my phone.
I gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? You want to see? I can just show you my phone. I mean, I can just open up my phone and let you go on my phone.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
What's the passcode to the phone?
Just give me my phone and I'll open it up for you.
Okay. Well, you'll open up right in front of you.
Right, yeah, I'll open it right here. Cool.
So if you want to just take while I go grab your phone, if you want to just take a closer look, and if there's anything that's sticking out, be sure to mark it, okay?
I mean, what is there to stick out? But
like, for sure places that you went, for sure.
At this point, the detective puts a map down and tells Henry to mark everywhere he drove that morning looking for Breasia. When the detective leaves the room to grab Henry's phone, Henry doesn't even touch the marker in front of him. When the detective eventually comes back with his phone, Henry gets very paranoid as he types in his password.
Why are you looking at me to do my password?
Well, that's what I asked.
No, I said I will open it for you.
Yeah,
but
I'm
not going to give you my password.
Okay.
I will open it for you so you can look at my phone, but I'm not going to give you my password.
Okay. And then you're just going to lock it?
Yes, right after you finish looking.
Yeah.
I will let you look in there. I have no problem with you looking.
Okay.
That's something I don't have no problem.
Okay.
It's clear that there's something on his phone that he doesn't want them to see, and then finally, he remembers his password. Throughout Henry's interrogation, the entire town of Davenport was searching everywhere for Breasia Terrell. Sadly, there had been no sightings of the 10-year-old. However, they did have plenty of clues. For instance, Henry's Chevy Impala was seen driving back and forth to different locations around Davenport from 2:13 a.m. all the way until the police were called. The story he was telling investigators wasn't adding up, so they became very suspicious of him. Search warrants were eventually executed on the apartment, Henry's car, his RV, everything. But by nightfall, there was still no sign of Breasia. During their search of the area, they did find a child's flip-flop.
So there was a flip-flop that they found down there, and we just want to make sure if something she would wear or not, if it was hers, okay?
However, her mom, Aisha, confirmed that it didn't belong to Breasia. It was then Aisha realized that the day was coming to an end, and they still hadn't found her daughter.
But that's a blessing. That's a blessing.
So
Thank you.
we're going down to the station. So with everything,
No, that's not hers.
so there's behind the scenes type stuff. Okay, we're doing search warrants. We're doing pinging the phones. Okay. Okay. But we have his mobile home down there. The FBI is down there. Everybody is working on it, okay? It doesn't end, okay?
I know, but it's 9:31 and I haven't heard from her. There's no way.
No, Juju, I know. No, that's not her shoe. It's
No,
not her
we
shoe.
just had to make sure, okay?
Yeah, but we appreciate it.
I can't go to sleep with that. Like, what the It's 9:30 and she's nowhere. Nowhere. I can't even talk to him.
After searching through Henry's RV, they found nothing that could officially tie him to Brisia's disappearance.
This is State's Exhibit 810.
This is basically from the door looking towards the rear of the camper.
And can you just describe what different items are being shown here in this photograph?
This shows the kitchen and then a hallway leading to a bedroom.
State's Exhibit 812. What's being shown here?
This is from the doorway looking towards the front of the camper.
And State's Exhibit 813.
This is basically standing in the kitchen with a view towards the back of the camper.
But they did find something suspicious in the bedroom.
This is basically from the entry of the bedroom into the bedroom at the rear of the camper.
So 817. What's being shown here?
This is the bed and the exterior windows.
State's Exhibit 820. What's being shown here?
Underneath the bed.
And what does appear to be underneath the bed?
Appears to be a small table.
And in the upper left-hand corner of this photograph, what is being shown?
There's a bottle of bleach cleaner.
Showing you State's Exhibit 821. What is being shown here?
This is the closet in the bedroom.
State's Exhibit 822. What's being shown here?
Items in the closet.
They found more suspicious cleaning supplies.
Now, when you were in this RV, approximately how tall are you?
I am 6 foot tall.
While you were standing there looking at the microwave, were you able to observe that machete just visually from how high you are, or how tall you are, excuse me?
Yes, I could see the machete from my height, yes.
Since these evidence were circumstantial at best, they found probable cause for an arrest. However, he was their number one suspect. Also, Henry Dinkins was a registered sex offender. In 1990, when he was 17 years old, he was convicted of third-degree SA against a minor. From 2007 to 2014, Henry was arrested at least 5 times for operating a vehicle while intoxicated. Henry admitted he had been living with his girlfriend, Andrea. Investigators found that Henry never registered as a sex offender in that area, which violated his sex offender registry requirements. Alone, this was enough to put him in jail. He was also forbidden to have contact with minors at all. Knowing he was likely involved in Brisia's disappearance, they decided to charge him with this. Disturbingly, after he was arrested, searches for explicit videos of minors were found on his phone. Even in jail, Henry would not confess to what happened to Breasia. Months went by with no sign of Breasia, indicating that she was likely dead. Breasia's case was publicized throughout Iowa. Even in jail, a news story about her disappearance popped up, and interestingly, Henry's cellmate claimed he made a strange comment after watching that news.
Jenkins said to me they would never find her.
News story came on and broadcasted that they were continually looking for her, and he would state that they're never going to find her.
The cellmate said that Henry never admitted to killing her, but the comment was very off-putting. It was clear that he knew exactly where Brisia's body was, and although Henry was confident they would never be able to find her, he was wrong. About 8 months after her disappearance, on March 22, 2021, 3 friends gathered to go fishing on Credit Island in West Davenport. On this day, the men parked their car and then walked down a steep embankment to get to the pond. As they made their way down, one of the men looked over and saw something white lying in the brush. The group walked over and one of them actually picked it up. It wasn't until then that they realized they were holding a human skull. By then, they noticed hair at the scene and could discern that the victim was black. They dialed 911. Davenport PD swiftly arrived at the scene. After processing the crime scene, they transported the body to the medical examiner for an autopsy. Despite not knowing the victim's identity, They determined she was a young African-American girl who succumbed to multiple gunshot wounds.
Yes, it's common procedure once all the elements that are on the surface there are recovered to take a trowel and scrape the soil. Sometimes over periods of time, elements can kind of sink into the soil. So I did that about a centimeter deep in that area of the remains.
As a result of that process, did you make any further discoveries?
Yes, I found a few additional teeth and then 2 artifacts that were later determined to be bullets.
Okay.
The initial shot struck her jaw, piercing through her spine.
There was a semicircular defect to the inferior portion of the left mandible, which was consistent with a bullet impact traveling left to right through that mandible portion.
With some skin tissue remaining on her leg, they conducted a DNA analysis, comparing it with Briasia's mom, Aisha. It was verified that the body discovered on Credit Island was indeed Breasia Terrell.
We've received confirmation that the remains are those of Breasia Terrell.
They also found a revolver. They ran a ballistics test on it, and it seemed pretty likely that it was used in the murder. Throughout their investigation, they dug up a ton of evidence linking Henry to Briasia's disappearance and now her murder. So they slapped him with charges, and prosecutors started gearing up for trial. Now, according to the authorities, this is how it went down on July 9th and 10th, 2020. After Aisha dropped off that bag of clothes for her daughter Breasia and her brother DL, they kicked back and played some video games inside apartment 8. But when the night crept in, Henry asked the kids to go take a bath. After the bath, Breasia didn't get her pajamas. Instead, Henry gave her this big white t-shirt of his. They all had dinner together, and Breasia was the first one to bed. DL and Breasia bunked in the bedroom that night, while Henry and his girlfriend Andrea crashed on the blow-up mattress in the living room.
Miss Culberson had a blow-up mattress that was out in the living room on the floor where she and Mr. Dinkins were to sleep. Breasia was the first one to go to bed. And from the living room, you could actually look through the door of the bedroom and you could see the bed. Because if you're standing at the doorway of the bedroom, very simply, you look forward and the bed is straight ahead of you.
Breasia went to bed alone first. Around 11:30 p.m., Andrea cozied up on the air mattress in the living room. And her last memory before nodding off was Henry telling his son to shut down the video game and hit the sack, which he did.
So Breasia goes to bed first. Andrea Culberson lays down to go to sleep. Notorious, she can hear Mr. Dinkins say to him that he has so much time to play the video game and that he's going down to bed. And then Notorious was in the bedroom asleep.
A bit past midnight, DL shuffled into bed with his sister, and Henry settled on the couch. But he didn't catch any sleep. It seems Henry had some pretty dark thoughts swirling in his mind. Around 2 a.m., he decided to act on those thoughts and rouse Breasia from her sleep. Breasia got up, and they wandered off toward the front door. Andrea was out like a light, but DL was apparently awake and aware of what was going on. DL saw his dad and sister slipping out of the apartment, and his dad chatted with Breasia about cars. From there, Henry and Breasia hop into his maroon Chevy Impala, and surveillance footage clocks the car heading north on Schmid Road at 2:13 a.m.
5:50 and going up to the 6 o'clock hour, that maroon Chevy Impala travels west past the Quick Stop. That maroon Chevy Impala is then identified from video surveillance at a residence on Judson Court, which actually the video surveillance camera was focused out on Eastern. So the rear of that residence faced Eastern.
Shortly after, the camera catches the Impala parked at Henry's RV spot, nestled at 743 Schmidt Road. Now, his RV was pretty basic. No electricity, no running water, just a bed. They couldn't find Breasia's DNA inside, but they did unearth bleach.
What's being shown here?
Underneath the bed.
And what does appear to be underneath the bed?
Appears to be a small table.
And in the upper left-hand corner of this photograph, what is being shown?
There's a bottle of bleach cleaner.
To the prosecution, it was clear. Henry lured Breasia inside and attacked her. He knew he couldn't pull it off in his apartment with Andrea and DL around, so he took her to the RV where he thought he could get away with it. And afterward, he scrubbed the place clean to cover his tracks. After assaulting Breasia, Henry realized she might tell on him.
Breasia was a truth teller. She was a child that would tell the truth no matter what. And I think her grandmother's description was, she described her as a tattletale. And the state asserts, when you consider these circumstances and you consider the purchase of bleach and the use of bleach, this child was assaulted in this area. But then it became very clear to Mr. Dinkins that there was going to be no way for him to control this child. And so therefore, it forced him to take further action, which was the murdering of Breasia Terrell.
Meanwhile, back at the Jersey Meadow apartments, Henry's girlfriend Andrea stirred awake at 3 a.m. for a trip to the restroom. Strangely, upon reaching the bathroom, she noticed Breasia and Henry were nowhere to be seen. DL was in bed, but Breasia was absent. Instantly, Andrea's gut twisted with dread. She even reached for her phone to dial Henry's number and find out his whereabouts.
After you fell asleep, was there any point in the night that you woke up?
Yes.
When did that occur?
It was like at 3 o'clock in the morning. Nature called. So I went and I kind of glanced over. Had no glasses on, so everything was kind of fuzzy. So I saw that she was not there. So I was like, okay, let me go get my glasses so I can see. And I felt on the bed. So I'm like, okay, she's not here. And my first reaction, call Mr. Dinkins.
However, as she moves to call him, she notices his phone resting on the counter. Andrea admitted feeling sick to her stomach. She couldn't even bring herself to return to bed.
What areas did you check?
I checked the bathroom again, just in case. I checked the bedroom. I checked the living room. I checked the kitchen. I checked everywhere.
Both Breasia and her boyfriend were gone. From there, Andrea just sat around in the living room, waiting. Then, at 3:30 a.m., she heard the front door open.
Did Mr. Dinkins suggest that there was some type of medical emergency for Breasia?
No.
Did Mr. Dinkins communicate to you that he would have reached out to her mother because the child wanted to go home?
No.
Was there any type of emotional disturbance within the apartment to suggest that Breasia had gotten upset in the middle of the night and wanted to go home?
Absolutely not.
All right. From there, then, when you noticed that Mr. Dinkins was gone, you noticed that Breasia was gone, what did you do?
First thing I did was try to call him. Mr. Dinkins.
What happened when you tried to call him?
It rang and it went to voicemail.
All right. Did you try to call him more than once?
Yes.
What happened?
Same thing.
Did you subsequently discover something?
Did I discover something? No.
About his phone?
Oh, it was off.
Okay.
After I got done calling him, there was no answer. I stayed up.
Okay.
I didn't have his phone. I didn't have Miss Langsford's number, so I couldn't call her. So I just stayed up.
Okay. When you say that you stayed up, what room were you located in?
Living room.
Okay. When you stayed up, did you turn the lights on?
No.
Describe then the environment within the apartment.
So when I got done going to the bathroom, it was dark. No lights, nothing was on. And then heard someone softly coming up the stairs. I guess he thought I was asleep.
Unbeknownst to him, Andrea was already awake. The first thing she notices is that Henry is wearing a different outfit.
When I saw him, he had on a whole different outfit. So I don't know.
All right. Let's talk about the description of his outfit. Do you recall what Mr. Dinkins was wearing when you fell asleep?
I do.
What was he wearing when you fell asleep?
Kind of like a white beater and colorful shorts, like white, blue, and pink.
All right. And then when he came up the stairs, what do you remember, if anything, about what he had on?
I would say like a white t-shirt and some blue shorts that look like bandana pattern. and some sneakers.
When he reaches the top, Andrea begins firing questions about his whereabouts and activities, but he remains silent.
I was like, what's going on? Where you going? What's going on? And he's like, I'll be back.
Rather than responding to her, Henry simply walked into the closet to get something. Andrea couldn't tell what he grabbed as he tucked it into his waistband, but the prosecution suggested it was his gun.
He's inside the room in the closet grabbing something. What is he grabbing? I do not know.
It's at this point that Andrea peeks out of their bedroom window. There, she spots Breasia standing outside beside the Chevy Impala.
I looked out the window and saw Bria outside of the car. So now my heart's like, okay, she is with him, she's safe, but yeah, it just seemed weird to me, but I didn't know what to say.
All right.
While relieved to see Breasia unharmed, Andrea still couldn't shake off her restlessness. From there, Henry leaves the apartment, accompanied by Breasia.
Did you see him go down the staircase?
Yes.
Did you continue to watch out the window?
I did.
What did you observe happening?
Car pulling off.
And was Breasia in the car when it pulled off?
Now, windows are tinted, you can't see through.
Okay, so at the point in time that he's in the closet, had you looked away from the window?
Yes.
Okay, and then when he's going down the stairs, do you go back to the window?
I do.
Had he already gotten inside the vehicle?
Yes.
And was at the point in time that he was pulling away?
Yes.
At the point in time he was pulling away, did you see Breasia anywhere in the parking lot?
No.
About 2 minutes later, at 3:33 a.m., the Chevy Impala pulls into a nearby quick shop for gas. During Henry's interrogation, he admitted to visiting the shop, but claimed he was only purchasing cigarettes. However, surveillance footage from inside reveals that he also bought $35 worth of gas, paid with cash to avoid leaving a Henry and Breasia drive out to Credit Island. Eventually, Henry parks the car by the roadside and instructs Breasia to exit the vehicle, gesturing toward the woods and ordering her to follow him. In the pouring rain, they go down a steep embankment toward a large pond. Once deep enough into the woods, Henry shoots Breasia twice. The gunshots go unheard. Henry then leaves her body in the woods and hastily returns to the car. By this time, it's around 4:30 a.m., when Henry starts the engine but realizes the car is stuck in the mud due to the heavy rain. Panicked, Henry exits the vehicle and attempts to flag down help.
There was a vehicle?
No.
A person?
A person.
Okay. Describe that person for me.
Black man wearing white shorts, white shoes.
Okay, describe his physical features. Was he tall, short, heavy-set, thin?
Similar to my height.
How height? What's your height?
6'2", about 6 foot, little heavier build than me.
Okay.
I mean 250, 260.
This is 4:30 in the morning?
Real close.
And this guy is just walking down the highway?
No, he jumped out in the lane in front of me.
Okay, what did he do?
I stopped the truck. Good thing I was paying attention, or else could have had an accident.
Sure.
He come up to the driver window and asked me to pull him out of the ditch.
All right, so you're pretty close to this guy?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you roll your window down. He comes up to the driver's side window?
Correct.
Did you notice anything about his face? Could you describe his face for me?
Black man.
Was he wearing glasses?
I don't recall them. He had a mole right here.
Fortunately, a passing motorist named Jared Brink stops to assist.
What's going on? How do you encounter this person in the ditch?
It was about 4:30 in the morning.
Jared uses a chain to free the Impala from the mud.
I had a chain in the back of my pickup. I was lucky. It was a 4-foot chain. I crawled underneath the front of his car, hooked it up to the cross member, and drove my truck, and it just come out easy.
So when you jerked him out real quick, you unhooked the chains and drove away?
Uh-huh.
Yes?
Yes.
Did you ever get the guy's name?
No.
Was there anybody with the guy?
No.
Could you see inside his car?
Yes.
There wasn't a child with him?
No.
And was this time of day, this is your usual shift, like 5 o'clock a.m.?
Somewhere around there. I'm a supervisor, so I come and go as I see fit.
The whole ordeal took about a minute or two. There wasn't much talking, but they had an interesting conversation right at the very end.
So after you pulled it out, did you have a conversation with the guy? Did he say thank you and stuff or offer you any money?
He was very appreciative, and more than once he offered me $100, and I didn't accept it. I just said, do something nice for somebody else, and went on my way.
Had you ever seen this guy before?
No.
Have you ever seen him since?
No.
How did you become involved? How did you then become involved in this particular case?
It was after they found the body.
Okay.
I was at a friend's house having a beer, and that's when he said they found a body, and we were talking about it.
It's important to mention that following Briasia's case being covered in the media, Jared came forward with his account.
What's weird about that is that I pulled a guy out of the ditch there about a year ago around that area.
Okay, so you saw a picture.
No.
You just said you pulled a guy out.
A guy out. He asked me what kind of a car it was, and I remembered what kind of car it was. He had his wife send me a picture of the flyer that was posted around town or whatever, and that's when I decided I had to call the police department.
So the car looks similar?
Identical.
Pardon me?
Identical.
Did anybody ever have you look at a photograph or a photographic array and try to identify the person who was with the car?
I can't recall.
So no one had you look at a picture and say, is this the guy?
I can't recall, no.
But you recall it being a cool day, right?
It seemed cool for shorts.
He provided investigators with Henry's precise physical description.
And then additionally, as far as how you describe this individual's physical build, how would you describe his physical build?
6 foot tall, 250.
Okay, and when you were speaking with law enforcement, do you recall telling them that you didn't remember him being that bigly built, but they did have a big frame?
Yes.
Now, during your discussions with law enforcement, did they ask you whether or not you would be able to pick him out of a photo lineup? And you indicated that you didn't know if you would be able to do that?
Yeah, I don't remember that part of the conversation.
And I've got a report here of your interview with the officer. I don't know if it would help you if you would want to review that real quickly. That way we could definitively put that issue to rest.
He is 48.
Yeah, at 45 it went downhill bad.
All right. And the time frame then that you would have had contact with this individual, would that have been about what time?
That morning.
Right.
About 4:20, 4:15, and 4:30 somewhere.
Nevertheless, Jared surrendered his cell phone to the authorities, enabling them to confirm his presence in the area at 4:30 a.m. on July 10th. Jared observed that no one else was inside the Chevy Impala during their encounter, just minutes after Henry committed the crime.
Did you ever get the guy's name?
No.
Was there anybody with the guy?
No.
Could you see inside his car?
Yes.
There wasn't a child with him?
No.
Once freed, Henry returned to Highway 61 and headed back to his apartment. At the Jersey Meadow Apartments, 8-year-old DL awoke again around 5:30 a.m., and Andrea noted that he was crying.
He woke up, and I told him, your sister's gone, and then he started tearing up.
He started tearing up?
Mm-hmm.
Explain what you mean by that.
Like starting to cry.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Tearing up.
Yeah.
All right. Then when Detoria started to tear up, or DL started to tear up, goodness, what did you do to try and calm the child down?
I told him to come in the living room and lay down, because I don't want you to come in the living room. And he did. And then not too long after, Mr. Jenkins shows up, grabs him, and they go.
All right.
Andrea and DL sat in the living room, and at 5:55 a.m., Henry returned home alone, appearing all calm. Andrea kept asking questions, but Henry gave no explanation.
Did you ask him about Breasia and where she was at?
I did not.
Okay. Did Mr. Dinkins make any statements to you about there were issues that had developed?
No.
You don't recall any of that?
No.
All right.
He told DL to get his bag, and the two left. Although Henry initially tried to leave his phone behind, but Andrea insisted he take it.
And once it charged up and he came, I'm like, here, take your phone so I can call you.
All right.
And he took it.
All right.
Unaware of the situation, DL accompanied his father as they drove around for approximately 45 minutes. They then headed to the Walmart in Clinton instead of the one in Davenport, presuming their purchases wouldn't be traced.
When generally does Mr. Dinkins first enter the parking lot in that maroon Chevy Impala?
It's going to be coming up here shortly, right before 6:50.
Okay, and then can you give us a sense of what direction it will be coming into the parking lot?
I can point to it on the screen.
Is that the maroon Chevy Impala that's coming in?
That is.
Okay.
Come from the top right to the left of the screen.
And then the time generally would be what?
6:50.
They arrived at 6:58 a.m. Henry was wearing the same outfit.
How is Mr. Dinkins dressed?
Gold shoes. Appears to be the same shorts that we had him, that he was wearing when he came down to the police station. White T-shirt and then black do-rag.
Okay.
He went straight to the cleaning supplies section.
Where are we at in the store now?
Just from the view of the video footage, it looks like there's cleaning supplies along the left aisle, and then looks like some clothing on the right of the screen.
Has Mr. Dinkins come into view yet?
He's just now coming into view on the top part of the screen, and he has a cart with him, and he's walking over towards the cleaners section.
Okay, what was the time?
7:06.
What is Mr. Dinkins doing at this point in time?
He's placing 2 bottles of Clorox bleach into his cart.
Okay. What was the size of those bottles of Clorox bleach?
81 ounces each.
And were those smaller in sizes compared to the bleach that was found in the apartment of Andrea Culberson?
It was the same size.
Okay.
While Henry bought bleach inside, DL stayed in the car.
When you and Henry got to Walmart, what did you do?
I had to sit in the car.
You had to sit in the car?
Yes.
What did Henry do?
He went inside Walmart.
Sitting in the car, he innocently played with his father's phone.
For a written record, what is Mr. Dinkins doing?
He has scanned 1 bottle of bleach, but from the receipt we can tell that he scans it twice to pay for 2 bottles.
And then how does he pay for it?
With cash.
After Henry returned to the car, DL saw the bleach and went with his father to Credit Island, where Henry took bleach and a machete before venturing into the woods alone while DL waited in the car.
So he could go fishing with them? Where were you?
In the car. I had to sit in the car by myself.
You sat in the car? Did you see your dad get anything out of the car?
He complained he grabbed some bleach, and what I saw in his trunk, he pulled it out. It was a knife.
He had some bleach?
Mm-hmm.
And a knife?
Yeah. Bleach and knife.
What kind of knife?
It's some big knives.
Using the machete, he cut through the brush, then used it to conceal her remains. He then doused everything with bleach to eliminate any traces of his DNA. Upon returning to the car, DL wanted to know what was happening. He concocted a story, telling DL that he had gone fishing with friends earlier that morning.
Do you know where he went fishing this morning? Do you think you could take me that way?
I don't remember that way.
What if I drove you down that way?
It's a long way.
That's okay.
I don't remember. I don't remember where he was at.
Okay. So
just a place that he got stuck.
He got stuck? His car
He needed another push.
Who helped push him?
The 6 people that he went fishing with.
So this morning, after your sister left, He came back and got you, and then he went fishing. Did you see his fishing poles?
He didn't have any.
He didn't have no fishing poles?
He bought it where he can fish with them.
He what?
He bought it where he can fish with them.
So he had the fishing poles?
He borrowed them
Yeah.
borrowed the fishing poles from other people?
Did you actually see your dad with fishing poles? Or did he tell you he went fishing?
He told me he went fishing.
But he left you in the car?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you saw him with bleach and a knife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Big knife.
A big knife. And he cleaned it?
Yeah.
Okay. What, did you ask him about that?
No.
Okay.
It's chilling to consider that not only did he commit such a heinous act against a 10-year-old girl, but he also brought his 8-year-old son along while attempting to cover his tracks. After leaving Credit Island, they returned to Henry's RV, where DL remained in the car while his father wiped down the machete with a rag before storing it inside the RV.
Where did he grab that knife from?
His trunk.
His trunk?
And then he washed it off.
He washed off what?
The knife.
Washed it off with what though?
Some bleach and some a rag. He washed it off with a rag.
At this point, Henry has taken several steps to conceal his actions. He covered Bria's body with a brush and poured bleach at the dumping site. Inside his RV, he used bleach to clean up, and he wiped down the machete he used at Credit Island. Throughout the morning, he made purchases using cash, and he believed his phone remained off during this time. Henry was convinced that he had successfully covered his tracks. It was only at this moment that he decided to inform Aisha of her disappearance. After the discovery of Bria's body in March 2021, Henry Dinkin became the prime suspect in her disappearance. Despite the sleepless night spent covering his tracks around town after Bria's murder in his RV, suspicion eventually fell on him. Following the charges brought against him, the trial commenced in August 2023, with Henry pleading not guilty.
The man charged with the murder of 10-year-old Breasia Terrell of Davenport has pleaded not guilty.
Opting for a bench trial, where a judge decides the verdict instead of a jury, Henry embarked on his legal journey. This trial didn't offer a straightforward path to conviction due to the scarcity of physical evidence. Despite searching Henry's RV, authorities couldn't find Breasia's DNA, likely because Henry had thoroughly cleaned it.
That angled cabinet, is the sink located above that?
Yes.
Was the bleach bottle stored underneath there?
Yes.
Bleach was discovered near the bed, and a machete was concealed above the microwave, with white fibers indicating recent cleaning.
As I was looking at it, I could see what appeared to be some type of white cloth or paper on the serrated edge.
Similarly, Breasia's DNA wasn't found in the Impala, suggesting Henry had cleaned it as well.
Was there any trace evidence that connected any of the items you examined to Breasia Terrell?
No.
At the dumping site, decomposition had masked physical evidence, although sharp object marks on branches indicated the use of the machete. Despite the lack of direct evidence, the testimony of Jared Brink was crucial. The prosecution relied heavily on video surveillance showing Henry driving around and purchasing bleach.
At 2:29 a.m., headlights are captured leaving a lot off Schmidt Road. That's the same lot where Dinkin's RV was parked. From 2:51 a.m. to 2:53 a.m., we see a sedan entering Credit Island and then leave.
Testimony from DL and Andrea played a significant role. DL, who was 11 years old by 2023, testified about what he witnessed that morning. The judge, considering all evidence, reached a verdict. Despite the absence of substantial physical evidence, Andrea and DL's testimony, coupled with surveillance footage, led to Henry Dinkin's conviction.
It should be noted, all of these investigative efforts would not have been fruitful had it not been for the information provided by DL. DL was instrumental in solving the murder and kidnapping of his sister, Breasia.
The 51-year-old was found guilty of first-degree murder and kidnapping of Breasia Terrell.
That the defendant, Henry Earl Dinkins, is guilty of the offense of, under count 1, murder in the first degree in violation of Iowa Code Section 707.2, paren 1, paren B, and guilty under count 2, kidnapping first degree, in violation of Iowa Code Section 710.2, as contained in the trial information filed by the state of Iowa.
Henry Dinkins' sentencing took place on October 11, 2023, with the judge imposing 2 mandatory life sentences for the kidnapping and murder of Breasia Terrell. During this proceeding, Henry was given a chance to address the court. He extensively expressed dissatisfaction with his legal representation and the judge presiding over his case. Additionally, he voiced his belief that racism influenced the guilty verdict against him.
I was already found guilty before this case and trial already began. I can see it as racial profiling behind my background. I'm saying this because how everything played out from the beginning all the way up to now. I contemplated over the moves that the state used to hinder my character to fit their benefits.
But at the end of it, Aisha gave her victim impact statement.
For you, Henry Dinkins, surrounded that night, that played through my mind every day. Did she want me? Was she scared? Did she see those gunshots coming? Did you shoot her while she was trying to get away? Did she scream for help? Did she beg you to stop? Did you see in her face when she realized she was shot the first time? What was her last words? Did you stay and watch my baby die? How long did she suffer? Did you watch the life leave from her beautiful hazel eyes? What did you do to my son? Why? Do you know the answers to any of these questions I asked, huh? Henry Dinkins, closure doesn't exist here in this case. Justice doesn't exist here in this case. You didn't just take away my baby's life. You didn't just take away my baby's life. You took away everything from me. My family's sense of security, laughs.
Following this, Henry Dinkins was taken to prison, where he will remain until his last breath. As Aisha expressed, I hope the weight of what he did to Breasia will haunt him for the rest of his days. Breasia's family is now working to rebuild their lives after this devastating loss. During the trial, the medical examiner held on to Breasia's remains, and now that it's concluded, her family can finally lay her to rest. The murder of Breasia Terrell had profound ripple effects throughout the city of Davenport, Iowa. Memorials of Breasia can be found throughout the town, and to this day, people continue to come to pay their respects. It's evident that no matter how much time passes, her memory will never fade away. As we reflect on the tragic case of Breasia Terrell, we are reminded of the profound impact one person's actions can have on an entire community. Her life, full of potential and innocence, was senselessly cut short. Though justice has been served with Henry Dinkins' conviction, nothing can ever truly heal the wounds left behind. Breasia's story is a somber reminder of the vulnerability of our children and the importance of vigilance and compassion within our communities. Her memory lives on, not just in the hearts of her loved ones, but in the collective spirit of Davenport, Iowa. We must continue to honor her by striving to protect and cherish every child, ensuring their safety and well-being above all else. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the heartbreaking story of Breasia Terrell. If this case touched you, please like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest true crime investigations. Your support helps us keep Breasia's memory alive and bring awareness to the causes that matter. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and take care of each other.